Anyway, all right. Well, let's get this over with.
Okay.
Not that I'm trying to rush out of here, but you've got time. Gosh, you've got all the
All the
time in the
time in the
world, don't you?
world. Just me and the dog till tomorrow.
Welcome to the Greatest Lists podcast, a show about music and lists. This season, your hosts Jason and Eric are counting down the top 25 guitar solos of the 80s and the top 25 guitar solos of the 90s. Think your favorite made the list? Tune in and find out. Take it away, boys.
Welcome back to season 2 of Greatest Lists, a music and talk podcast featuring lists of the greatest songs of all time. I am your host for this episode, Jason. Joining me, as always, my co-host, Eric. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Hey, another quick sidebar. I like doing these sidebars. But did you ever have a department store in your area when you were a kid that had like several floors that you used an elevator on? Ever have that experience?
No. Our mall was one story.
So you had mainly a mall? Okay.
Yeah.
I grew up in a small town, and there was a very old department store downtown that went back to, I think, the 20s or 30s. And it was five floors.
Wow.
So I remember as a kid doing that whole thing where you walk in, the bottom floor was like jewelry, and there was some clothes and stuff down there, but you walked over to the elevator. There was actually a person in there that operated it for you.
Really?
You had the old like metal gate that they closed, and then the doors would close. You told them what floor. I was always the 5th floor up to the toys. So I had that experience as a kid, and now that same building is a thrift store, like a thrift mall.
All 5 floors?
It goes up just 3 floors.
Oh.
So like it's got one floor that's all just mainly furniture, but
yeah,
2 full floors of just booths of thrift items. And it's I have to go there every time I go home now, just because I remember Light Singers. It was called Light Singers when I was a kid. I remember going to that store, getting on that elevator and going up to the 5th floor to look at toys.
That's
While my
awesome.
mom
What a great memory.
Yeah, my mom would be in another floor. Totally, I was all by myself.
Yeah.
That era. So anyway,
now I will say we
there.
didn't have a department store, but I knew a guy in elementary school whose house had an elevator in it.
Really? Okay. Wow.
Just 2 floors, because his mother had I can't remember what she had, but she couldn't climb stairs.
Okay.
She had some kind of degenerative disease, and so they had installed an elevator. And I only went to his house once for a birthday party, and that was the main attraction in the house, was the elevator.
To go up the elevator.
Yep.
Always
much.
is.
So.
Yep. And these guys will do a whole different spin on the elevator in this episode. All right. Quick reminder. We're sponsored by HalloweenCostumes.com. In this episode, the largest online selection of Halloween costumes. You want to be a rock star? You want to be a sexy elevator attendant? Yeah, you could probably find it over there.
That's what I want to be.
HalloweenCostumes.com. Maybe not specifically an elevator, girl, but, anyway. There are some sexy costumes over there, let me tell you.
Oh my God.
No matter what you're looking for, the best part is you save 15% by using our promo link in the show notes. Just click over. The savings are automatically calculated, so you don't have to do a thing but click and shop and add items to your cart. Got to do it before October 31st, though. HalloweenCostumes.com. Make sure you use that promo link. All right, we are continuing the second half of Season 2. We're in the top 10 of the top 25 guitar solos of the 80s. The next one comes from the 1989 album, Pump. At number 8 is Love in an Elevator by Aerosmith.
Behind the music.
Our spotlight today is on actually 2 guitarists. One that we talked about in the first half of Season 2, which was Joe Perry. If you listen to our, what was it? Amazing, I think I chose, in our season,
our
90s list. But Love in an Elevator actually features 2 solos, there's, I don't know, 2 guitars, essentially, in the solo section. One that's Joe Perry, and the other who is Brad Whitford, who typically plays rhythm guitar for the band. So we'll give you the story on Brad today. Brad Whitford played in local Boston bands called the Symbols of Resistance, Teapot Dome, Earth Inc., and Just in Time. Love the name of that band. Before joining Aerosmith in 1971, and he replaced the original guitarist Ray Tabano. Whitford left Aerosmith actually in 1981 to work on his own project with singer Derek St. Holmes. They just simply called it Whitford St. Holmes. The project dissolved after one album, and Brad actually toured briefly with Joe Perry, who had taken a break, was on the Joe Perry project, his side project there, before they both rejoined Aerosmith in 1984. Now, here's an interesting quote from Slash about Aerosmith. He says, quote, "I had identified with Joe Perry's image, both sound-wise and visually, but I was also totally into Brad Whitford's guitar solos, and he has more direct influence on the way that I play than anybody realizes," unquote.
Interesting.
And it's really funny, like, you know how Slash looks.
Yeah.
And if you go to the Love in an Elevator music video, I mean, Joe Perry is Slash without the top hat. He's got that black vest, no shirt, and those cow print pants. I mean, it's so interesting to me that Slash references those two as influences on him, because he's almost like a combination of both.
It's true.
Joe Perry has that shaggy mess of a hair in this era. You know, I swear it's Slash without the top hat, and just the way he plays. You know, they Slash those Gibson Les Pauls, you know, and everything. I don't know. I just thought that was really cool that he has spoken out about Joe Perry and Brad Whitford. But Whitford was included in the Guitar World book, the 100 Greatest Guitarists of All Time in 2007. He plays a lot of different guitars, from Les Pauls, the Fender Strats, to is it Gretsch?
Yep.
The guitar brand.
Yep.
From what I can tell from the 1990 VMAs, which they performed this song, he was using a Fender Strat. But the music video, they both have Les Pauls. So I guess he uses whatever guitar he wants at the time, you know. It was kind of funny to me that he, you know, and in both solos he's using different guitars. But here's the inspiration for this song. According to Steven Tyler, in his pre-sobriety days, he said he found himself in a hotel hot tub with a bevy of women, and when they moved the party to his room, when they moved the party to his room, they all piled into a hotel elevator wearing nothing but towels and bathrobes. One of the ladies decided to have some fun and push all of the buttons in the elevator, which brought them down to the lobby. And then, of course, the girls were flashing people there, and the people in the lobby when the doors opened. So the lobby got a nice look there as they're going from floor to floor. But that's how this song came about.
Let's get personal.
So you can hear our personal histories with Aerosmith in that amazing episode that I talked to you about on the song Amazing. It was amazing to talk about, but the amazing song in our 90s guitar solos list. But to be brief, my interest really started in the mid 80s, the Permanent Vacation album, and their team up, of course, with Run DMC. I've been a fan ever since then. Pump was an album I bought on cassette. I guess outside of Living on the Edge, it's probably my second favorite album. And as we'll get into it here in a minute, I think it's probably their best sounding album, Pump is.
Oh, yeah.
This song, my favorite on the album. There's a few others. There's what they call the Dulcimer Stomp combined with Take Me to the Other Side. I remember playing that track on a jukebox out of this little hangout joint that me and my buddy Wyatt, my high school friend, we had this hangout place, and they had a 45 jukebox that you could get 2 songs, I think, for $0.25. And they had Take Me to the Other Side in that beginning part of it. called the Dulcimer Stomp on that jukebox. I played that all the time. But, Janie's Got a Gun, that was a huge hit, if you remember that.
Yes.
Won a bunch of awards. And What It Takes has been one of my favorite like windshield karaoke songs. I mean, I used to be able to hit all the high notes that Tyler goes into. Those days are long gone, my friend. Long gone. But the mid 80s to like early 90s Aerosmith is my sweet spot. What about you?
Aerosmith has always been what you call a radio band for me. I like everything I hear from them. I don't think I've ever owned a full Aerosmith album.
Okay.
I don't think I have. Now that I think about it, I mean, I can sing every song that comes on the radio. And I've heard a couple of other, songs from them that weren't singles, but I don't think I've ever actually owned an Aerosmith album.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're which, with that being said, I've seen them twice in concert.
Which they played their hits, right? Yeah, so.
Exactly. I've seen them twice in concert. I just have never been like, where I buy all their albums and I haven't been that kind of a fan of them.
Okay.
But yeah,
I think you need to put Pump on when you do your next 100 albums in 100 days.
I don't.
Just because it's so interesting to me. Of course, being from Boston, there's almost like this Cajun or even Aboriginal music or influence on Pump.
I mean, I've
so many interesting little songs on there, and they'll pair up the hits with like these little intros. Like I said, like Take Me to the Other Side is one of them,
which is a great song.
There's a little hidden instrumental at the end too. I mean, it's such an interesting album, and it's departed from, I think that there is some, I don't know, I would almost call like Southern rock influences in their earlier stuff, but it's so weird. I love the album so much. I mean, like I said, Get a Grip. I wore that thing out my high school year, my senior year in high school. So I can't put anything above that, but it's right there.
That's funny. Now that we're talking about it, I did listen to a Aerosmith song this summer, or album this summer. I listened to Rocks from Aerosmith.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In June. And that was a tremendous album. So I don't know why. I mean, honestly, I don't know why I've never listened to Aerosmith album wise. Just, I saw their videos and heard the stuff on the radio, but I don't know why I wasn't a bigger, because I remember my college roommate, my sophomore year, was a huge Aerosmith fan. So I don't know why that didn't rub off on me, but it didn't for some reason.
Rocks is the one with Back in the Saddle and Last Child, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll play in one of those coming up here in our bonus songs.
Okay.
The Breakdown.
All right, like I told you off the air, I've been waiting to break this song down for months.
You actually messaged me the other day, only to say that. That's all you said in the message. You're like, I cannot wait for this song.
Yeah. You can have your Walk This Way. You can have your Dream On. You can have your number one hit, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. This song is their best song, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's just start with the solo, or solos, you might say. So the first of the two solo parts, when he gets to what I would call the bridge, it lasts for a full 2 minutes of the album version of the song. To put that in perspective, it only takes them a minute and a half to do the intro, 2 verses, and 2 choruses before you cut away to this interlude part there in the middle that's over 2 minutes long. I mean, the first solo, it's Brad. It's a lot of Brad, but you can hear Joe right at the end giving some licks right at the end of his parts of that first solo. And then, For the longest time, I didn't notice that it was two guitars. I always thought it was Joe.
I'm the same. I'm the same. I didn't know that they were both playing on this song.
But they're both playing on the solos on this. So you get them kind of mainly Brad, a little bit of Joe, and then at the second part of the bridge, when you get Tyler saying "loving it," and then you get Joey Kramer. He's got this awesome new pattern on the drums with that ride cymbal.
Yeah,
it might be my favorite drum pattern ever that goes into effect. But then to close out that is Joe. You get that that ride cymbal and that snare and kick them just together. It's so good. But you hear Joe kind of messing around to start with the second part of that, and then he goes into this pattern. And I think it's both of them for a while that are playing together. But again, Tommy Hamilton, who plays bass, he's got this real like slap bass lick underneath, and you hear Tyler scream, "Elevator!"
Yeah.
You know, you get that. There's a great drum fill right there, and Joe gets into that very bluesy. It's a very bluesy solo. They got this like weird echo effect. They used it a couple times in the song. I hear it during Joe's solo there. They just do real quick. There's like an echo on him, and I don't know. It's kind of the strangest thing. There's some weird things in the song too, but if you're following along at home by the music video, this is the point where Steven Tyler's humping the stage. Joe continues. Then we get this quick little like vocal interlude going down, and it's real quick, and then boom, boom, and they get right back into the solo.
Yeah.
The radio edit of this song is 3.5 minutes and basically rips off the general public by 2 full minutes on the album version. Don't ever listen to the radio edit on this song.
I don't think I ever realized how long this song was on
the music video doesn't do
album.
that. The music video is the full album version. So just, so you guys know. But that, oh gosh, there's just so much in there that I love and just makes this Aerosmith's best song. Just within that 2 minutes where they're going back and forth with the guitars, you get that crazy drum pattern and that slap bass, just boom, just real on it. Oh gosh, this is just, oh man, I could listen to this song over and over and over again. But we're giving the limelight to the two guitarists, but and of course the ultimate frontman, Steven Tyler. But my two MVPs are Tommy Hamilton on the bass and Joey Kramer on the drums. The bass in this song is so strong. When he's at the beginning and he's doing the that pattern comes in with the bass, and you can hear the bass too, really prominent with the whoa and the whoa yes when he's doing that. You can barely hear the other guitars. It's just Tommy Hamilton on that bass, and then you get that same pattern kind of in the first part of the solo as the first part of the song, and he breaks into this he's just slapping the crap out of that bass.
Slapping the crap.
Yeah, I mean,
love it.
Slap bass is, there's some songs that can really pull it off, and you want to do it when it's you get a really powerful song, and he doesn't do it throughout this song, but when he does slap it there during mainly the solo, so great. And the drumming, oh my, there's so many different patterns for this song. I counted at least half a dozen that he's doing at any different parts, the chorus, the verse, the two during the solo. I mean, he's all over the place with these patterns, and the ride cymbals, the cymbling itself, he's riding the cymbals at some point. I mean, oh my gosh, I can't get enough of they're playing. And I will listen to the song. I've listened to the song, I don't know, 24 times in the last couple of weeks, leading up to this. And I'll listen to the drums, for instance. I went out to YouTube last night and I was listening or watching people trying to cover the drums on this song. And it's ridiculous. There's so many patterns that they go through in this song.
He's a really good drummer, and I remember that from seeing them live. He's just a really good drummer.
Yeah, and there's even parts where he's trying to match Steven Tyler's vocals. Like he'll change up the pattern just a little bit and add a few extra hits in there as when so it's I'm kind of hoping we don't get stuck, and he's boop 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 boop, and he adds some more to it. It's incredible. It's so incredible, the song. I'm telling you. I'm going to go into a little bit more and I'll let you talk, but as you can tell, my voice is already gone. There's some kind of insane like harmonica or horn at the end of the song. It's kind of in the background, and there's like some kind of effect, but it's just out of nowhere.
It's got to be harmonica because Steven Tyler plays.
I know he plays harmonica, but it seems so high. It almost seems like somebody on a keyboard that has like a horn setting or something on there. So crazy. And then, oh gosh, the acapella ending with all 5 of them coming down. I mean, Tommy Kramer even comes down from the kit.
Yeah.
Just, oh my gosh.
And they pull that off live too, because I remember that.
They do it live. They do it a lot on one mic.
I remember that, yeah.
It's so weird now. Like I watched them do this song just from a few years ago on YouTube, and Tommy Kramer's not behind the drum kit, and Brad isn't playing with them, so it's just basically Tommy and Steven and Joe, and they still do the vocals, the acapella at the end, but it's not the same, man. It's just not the same without all 5 of them there. They try to pull it off, but it's this song is just so insane. And we talked a little bit about this on the AC/DC episode, and going back to Brad Whitford and him being the rhythm guitar. There's just something to be said about rhythm guitar.
Oh yes,
and people that like in our bonus episode that's coming up, I talk a little bit about the simplicity of having trios like the Police and Rush, and there's a magic about having those 3 guys and what they can create on their own.
Yes,
but having that, like Malcolm Young, the rhythm guitar just fills in so much more, that you have that good rhythm. The other band members can really shine, and I really don't think Joe Perry would be quite as high on the guitar player list without Brad. I really don't.
Probably not. I mean, I would agree with that statement that there's a lot of bands where the rhythm player is adding a lot to the lead and you just don't realize it. And this is probably one of those situations. But just like AC/DC, I mean, Angus wouldn't be the same without Malcolm. So I agree with that.
You don't realize how much they lay down.
Yeah.
The melody, or just whatever,
or hold down the rhythm while the lead is playing.
While the lead is just going crazy. Yeah.
I mean, you can hear that in just about every 80s hair band that only has one guitar player, with the exception of a band like Van Halen, who that's the exception.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But any band that's only got one guitar player, especially when you see them live, and he drops out to play the lead and there's no rhythm playing, it's empty. And bands like Aerosmith and Black Sabbath, but AC/DC that have 2 guitar players, where the one guy's holding it down even when the lead is playing.
Yeah,
you just don't realize how much that adds to a band and to a guitar player. Everybody focuses on the lead, but nobody focuses on the rhythm player.
Yeah, and Brad actually got a writing credit for this song, and he's got usually 2 or 3 songs they'll have writing credits for.
Yeah,
in Aerosmith's albums, but having them feed off of each other, it's like your favorite band too. There's 2 guitars there. They're different, and of course one of them is likely playing rhythm while the other one is soloing, and then he can jump back and forth. It's like Def Leppard. We talked about Phil and who's the other one?
Well, first it was Steve Clark, and then it was Vivian Campbell.
Right. How well that they feed off of each other, and every once in a while Phil takes the lead, but having that rhythm player in there is, I think, so crucial.
Yeah.
In some of these hits like this, and why songs become hits, and why some of the lead guitarists, you could put Guns N' Roses up there too. Why some of the lead guitarists, have just gone into the stratosphere. It's because you got everybody around you who's playing so well. And this is just like the typical rock band setup where you got a front man that might play harmonica or something else, but you got the rhythm, you got the lead, you got the bass, you got the drummer.
Yeah.
Got everything that you need to really make a cool sound. And I can't say enough about Aerosmith. They've been one of my favorite bands for a long time, but going back, and I knew I was going to pick a song from them, but when I went back and just really paid attention to this song, which I had never really done before, and knowing that it was two players instead of one, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. So if you have anything else to add, I'll give you the floor.
I really don't. I mean,
as far as Love in an Elevator goes, at least.
You are an Aerosmith fan, like I am a Night Ranger fan. I could talk for an hour about Night Ranger, just like you can with Aerosmith. Like I said, I don't have as much of a background with them as you do, which is why I included them on my list this summer, because I wanted to hear something. But everything that we've said is totally on point. That they're another one of those bands that you have to take them as a whole and not just one guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. Everything we've said is totally on point about them, and it makes me want to go listen to some more Aerosmith now because
you've got to listen to Pump at least. Permanent Vacation is good too, but Pump, I love it top to bottom, and just everything else that they put into this album, little fun little things that makes it different from other albums too, is really cool. But yeah, you've got to go out, and if you're listening to this episode, if you didn't have Spotify Premium, you didn't hear the song, go out and listen to the song this week and pay attention to everything, to the guitar playing, the bass, the drums. That middle section, though, when they're playing off each other, is just incredible to me. So go out and do that this week. Number 8 on our list, I think I should have made it higher the more I dove into
now that you're
song.
talking about it.
Number 8 is cool. I like top 10 here. So it's number 8, the two solos, or the two guitarists that make up the solo, Brad Whitford and Joe Perry.
Yep.
And Love in an Elevator. Some bonus songs for this episode, so we're going to highlight more from Brad Whitford in particular. And we're going to have to go back to 1976. We're going to listen to The Last Child, one of their hits, which is a great song. He's got the solo in that one. And he's also co-lead in Back in the Saddle from the same album. I didn't really realize that either, that Back in the Saddle has a 2-part lead in that one. So go and listen to that one again as well, and hear Brad and Joe going back and forth. And then back to the 80s, let's play the title track to Permanent Vacation, which is Brad's solo as well. And then on Pump, there's a really interesting song called Voodoo Medicine Man. I want people to hear. The lyrics a little crazy, so forgive me for that. But Brad's solo on that one too is really fun. So we're gonna highlight Brad in our bonus songs this week. So stay tuned. Cool. You'll hear those if you've got Spotify Premium. If you're listening outside of Spotify, the song whip links in the show notes, or just go out and find Pump and go listen to that album this week. I'd recommend just ripping through that, man. It's some fun songs. There's some hits on there that you recognize, but there's some other stuff you go, what in the world am I listening to? Which makes it great to me. So go out and do that this week. Find us on Twitter or X at Greatest Lists, on YouTube at Greatest Lists, of course, our website, greatestlistpodcast.com. Leave us a comment. And Eric, coming back for show number 7, and we're getting closer, man. We're in there. We're getting to some heavy hitters.
Yes.
Now, and we're going to be under a full moon for sure on number 7.
Oh my God.
It's going to be a fun one. So
Yes.
thanks for listening to Greatest Lists. We look forward to continuing our list of the top 25 guitar solos of the 80s in our next episode.
You've been listening to The Greatest Lists.